It's amazing what 24 hours can do. Yesterday was my first day that I intentionally set up myself to be working more into my feminine energy. And it was tough. It was a little bit of a struggle all day. I put on the dress, I gussied up, yet there was always just like this feeling that it just didn't feel right. It was very uncomfortable not wearing the dress, but just maybe it was the force and the controlling of demanding myself to be in feminine energy, which I definitely could have done more insights, more research, more looking into actually embodying more feminine energy rather than flying off the cuff. But it was day one, and I knew, we're in this for the long haul, for at least 21 days of fully intentionalizing it. And I realized last night that while yesterday felt so off, and I could have blamed it on being up and then sleeping until 9 and then the day just being weird, in actuality it wasn't really that bad. And I realized right before I went to sleep that I was searching for something to go wrong. I had came back from the gym the other day, and the city was redoing the landscape in the center aisle of the road, and so they had blocked off a lane, and I noticed it whenever I was going to the gym. So I was trying to remind myself anyways, whenever I was coming back from the gym, I seen the sign and I was like, ah, shit, all right, so that lane is blocked, so I'm gonna go ahead, I'm just gonna take this detour, I'm gonna take this turn, even though I have to backtrack a little bit to get to where I wanna go, it'll work out. And while I was in line, waiting to get into the turning lane, the truck with the arrow pointing everybody to get in the other lane was actually moving, and it had done a U-turn and came back around and was picking up the cones on this part of the intersection. I had plenty of time to get over and go straight, which would have taken me to the trail that I had planned on going for a walk after my gym session. Yet I decided to go ahead and follow through and take it as a sign, if you will, to take this detour. Nothing terrible happened, but it made me realize that is a pattern of mine of taking the long way around. I've always made things harder than it needed to be. So just that instance, I was waiting for that. I was waiting for the opportunity to go straight instead of taking the turn that I typically do, which to some extent, actually deep diving into embodying my feminine energy, I think is on the right track instead of detouring and doing different stuff. But but there's no guidebook, there's no like message falling from the sky telling me that that's exactly what it means. But I took it upon myself to really internalize this situation as minute as it was, and I felt myself all day long. It was almost as if, because it was so foreign to me, I was constantly in my head checking in to see if I was doing it correctly, if I was being ladylike enough, if I was actually in my feminine energy. And because of that, I was in this really low level. I was in this like low density vibration, searching for a sign to tell me that I was doing it wrong, when in previous weeks, I came across, changing the whole mindset and the reframing, where what you think about, you attract. So my goal was to become more aware and more focused on what I actually desire. And it's so freeing. It's so uplifting. It's just, you get into a little bit of a pickle in your mind, and to be able to reframe it and be like, I got this. Getting rid of the doubts and the I don't know or I can't. And just reaffirming with myself that I got this. This is for me. Like, I am capable of this. And then it's weird. It's like the internal side of my brain is like, okay, so we're still on track. Like, we're still moving. We're not in the mud. We're on the highway. And, whatever, the answers come instantly or they come a few minutes later. It doesn't really matter. But it's light. Like, it's light, as in, there's not this, like, I can even feel in my body, like, I'm not all like, oh God, what is gonna happen? It's more like, okay, I'm free. I can, like, we're just gonna go with the flow. We're gonna see what happens. And so today I woke up at 2:15. So an hour earlier than I did yesterday. But I feel like because I had this realization right before bed, it was that reflection that was needed for me to be aware of it and like, now we know, so we move on from it. And I will say that although I woke up from a very interesting dream, the mood was really light. And I have to say, there's been quite a few mornings, not even in the middle of the night, but just mornings in general, that I've woken up and I've been in almost like a worry doubt, but it's been so normal that I can feel something off, but then I never really realized what exactly it was. And for the most part, some mornings I can pull myself out of it through a workout or a meditation. And then other days, like yesterday, I'm just in it for the day. And so just the fact of reflecting on that last night and coming into awareness of it, I think really made a big difference for today. So today, I am still embodying my feminine energy. I am willing to be softer while holding boundaries, and the surrender, letting go of the control and trusting myself. Like, I'm inside my head today, but I'm inside my head today with the message that it's natural. I am a feminine. It's natural for me to be in feminine energy, and I trust myself. And I know that no matter what, it's not the end of the world. So to be able to just even move around half of the day like I have, I've felt really good. I've had a couple really meaningful conversations with a client of mine and with a friend of mine that, I may not have taken the opportunity to put myself out there for, which that's a kind of a story in its own aspect. There's been a fear around other people for a while, and just backstories and just my backstory and my very, very little boundary setting whenever I didn't know any better. And there's definitely been a fear of being taken advantage of, or the people pleaser mentality of somebody's going to be upset with me if I do set this boundary, or if I speak my mind on this. And today I have been so free, and I have said what I wanted to say. I've been excited for other people, and I focused more on being safe within myself. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't been doing the best of intentional work, like right when I wake up. When you wake up, you're still in that like theta state. I believe it's theta or beta state. Anyways, it's easier to connect to your subconscious and start laying down groundwork for your subconscious. That's why they say once you wake up, if you do a meditation and set the intention for your day, meditation or not meditation, but if you set the intention for your day of how you desire it to be, then you're more likely to rock the day out in that vibration, right? And there are different things that I've came across that are tips and techniques to help you be more in your feminine. And I haven't taken the time to get organized, but one of the things that I quickly searched up before I went to cut a couple of haircuts was being safe within the body. And so I did, 5 minutes to work. I brought my energy back in myself. And again, with the reframe and the brain, the internal conversation, it's like, I know that I'm safe in myself. And this is going back into like that gut feeling, because like I've said before, I've been working on my heart space and having my energy in my heart. Well, I can still feel my heart shut off periodically. It's simple for me to typically bring my energy into my heart, but to be more in the root chakra and safe within myself, that has been a little bit more challenging. And they say with being a people pleaser or an empath that you've typically conditioned your upper chakras, your, maybe not your throat, but definitely the third eye and the crown chakra, to peek out and examine the external and make sure, you're safe by your surroundings, which has left my lower chakras, my root and my sacral, and there's another one that could just use some love, that they could use a little bit of attention and a little bit more framework into bringing the energy into them within myself. And it's a practice, whether you believe in chakras, you don't believe in chakras. This is the steps that I'm taking. It's kind of like math. There's multiple ways to get the answer. And from what I've found within the last couple years, like I said, taking the long way, this has actually been very interesting to me. The chakra system, in which these are just the main ones, because I know that there's a lot more, but I feel like just even working on aligning these, you can search the chakra system, you can search other people's work or research, if you will, on chakras, and you'll see that they're energetic fields within our bodies. Like, we're all moving, we're all a part of a moving matter. And so the energy centers are just different centers within ourselves, and they all have a meaning. They all kind of correlate to different portions of us. If you're more interested in that, I can definitely get my verbiage better on that and share with you more of an insight as to what they are, what they do. But it correlates and it ties into the energy frequency system, which is another thing that I really have gotten intrigued by. If you are into any kind of spiritual or personal development within the energy fields, I'm sure you've seen this chart. It shows you pretty much from lower density level frequencies to like the higher frequency levels. And the higher in the frequency, the more lighter you are, the more open you are to opportunities, to your gifts, to feeling good. It's, we can't change anybody else. We can only change ourselves. And we could go into a bit on that where, knowing you yourself allows you to respond rather than to react. And while you're responding, you're actually coming from a higher frequency where the reaction comes from a little bit more of that denser emotion energy level. Not that you're supposed to only be in one of these levels. You're always fluctuating, but to have a guidance of knowing kind of where you're wanting to be while also accepting yourself and resonating and just like giving yourself a moment whenever you are in, say, a lower density energy. There's so much to be woven in together. And it's, again, I was so afraid that I wouldn't have anything to talk about once I turned the camera on, and look at me, I could go on and on. So if you're interested in the energy frequency chart, or if you're interested in the chakras, or if anything else has resonated, please let me know in the comments. I mean, I'm golden with chatting with myself, but I would love to conversate and, pick your brain. Even if you have any insights on being in the feminine energy, if you yourself have found that you have lived most of your life in your masculine, and then you started switching gears and started balancing out your feminine and your masculine, I would love to hear from you as well. Let me know, what worked for you and how, whatever. How did you go about it? What kind of process? I guess, did you put yourself through? I feel like I'm so much in my head overthinking things and overanalyzing that masculine energy that I know whenever I was younger, I didn't know these specific things. And yet I still had the mental capacity to do a lot of what I'm doing now, just without having the information, if you will. And so I definitely have to catch myself at times because I know that I deep dive and I like tunnel vision in on certain things that I've learned. But I also know that it's really nice to have a background, to have a basis. When you're throwing spaghetti against the wall, at least you know where you would prefer it to land instead of just walking in blindly, not knowing. So that's kind of where I'm at. But yeah, so day 2 of embodying the feminine energy. Definitely not super prissy today. Jeans and a t-shirt. We were in the barbershop. Yet, I will say that I came across something that resonated pretty well. And it was about how the way you dress for yourself, but dressing up nice, doing your makeup, getting dolled up, isn't for anybody else, it's for yourself. And by doing that and embodying who you want to become, if that's somebody that you want to become, helps you embody it. Like by taking the actions of creating what it is that you want, with more practice, you'll get better and actually be exactly where you want. But then at that time, you'll be ready for something new. So it's all about the process. It's all about the journey. And, you know, it just in 2 days, I feel pretty good about this. I'm feeling excited. This is my new game for pre-summer. Until next time.